it's been a few days since the tragedy in Orlando, Florida, where 49 people were killed in a mass shooting while 53 others were wounded in that same shooting. And this all happened at a gay nightclub called Pulse. So there's been a lot of commentary and a lot of opinions, especially coming from our political leaders. A lot of rush to judgment, calling this Islamic terrorism or extremism or radical,
a rush to give themselves credit.
Exactly, yeah. Specifically, Donald Trump wanting to take some kind of congratulations for correctly stating that this was Islamic terrorism or something like that, or radical Islamism or something like that. And
it's such a meaningless victory because he's like trying to make it sound like, see, I'm good on foreign policy.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a rush to judgment. We don't know really anything now. There's been some claim that the attacker called 911 and said that
pledged his allegiance to ISIS, but they still haven't been able to find the connection yet.
Yeah. So, like we said, we don't know the exact details. We don't know exactly why. There's been some assertion that it could be that this guy had some gay tendencies. Mm-hmm. So maybe he was acting out on those tendencies, like maybe he was like self-hating or something like that.
Yeah, he's been going there for 3 weeks.
Well, no, 3 years.
3 years. Damn.
Yeah,
3 years.
Yeah. he's been seen in there dozens of times. So again, at this point, it's a rush to judgment. But something that Trump was saying, he was pretty much criticizing Obama and Hillary Clinton for not being able to say the word radical
Islamic
Islamism. Yeah.
Radical Islamic terrorism.
Yeah. And so Hillary, she finally did say it. After at one point she said that she would not say it. Mm-hmm. She did say it. But then she was like, it doesn't matter what we call it. It is what it is. Right. And at that point, I would agree with her, and I hate to defend her on that one little point, but I have to because, we could call it mayonnaise, applesauce,
Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, we could call it whatever we want to. It doesn't change it. No.
Yeah, no, it's not like whoever it is, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, or ISIS, or any other terrorist faction. It's not like when a politician or a pundit says radical Islamic terrorism, they're like, oh,
it's over.
Dang it, it's over.
Yeah, they got us.
They said it. Like, let's pack it up. Yeah. We're done with this terrorism stuff.
It changes. All it does is say, okay, this is the label we want to throw at it.
That's it.
But it doesn't change
anything.
Strategies. No. It doesn't say, oh, we know where you are now. Now we're coming to get you.
Yeah, and it doesn't change the aims of these factions, these groups at all.
Coincidentally, the day before this shooting at the nightclub, on Friday, there was a shooting at Christina Grimmie's concert in which an attacker walked up to her while she was signing autographs and opened fire and killed her. Her brother, Christina Grimmie's brother, then jumped on him, tackled him, and there has been reported that he then fatally shot himself. So, just talking about these two incidents and how America definitely has a gun problem. I mean, it's documented. We see it all the time. And especially there's a problem with mass shootings. What I want to know is, do you think that now is the time? Can we talk about it now? Like what to do, how we can address this problem? Or is it still politicizing the issue?
I don't care. We should have talked about it yesterday. We should have talked about it the day before yesterday. We should have been done talked about it.
Right.
This has been an issue that should have been, I guess, put forth in a more serious way a long time ago.
Yes.
And who cares if it's politicized? Mm-hmm. That's the point.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get it when, let's say, there's an issue with the speed limit, mm-hmm. and maybe some children are getting hurt, and so what do? They put safety zones,
right.
speed
mm-hmm.
zones in front of schools.
Some speed bumps,
maybe.
Yeah, something.
That's politicizing an issue.
Right. They address the problem. They try to, correct it.
They try to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a problem with the way a school district is spending money, they politicize the issue and they put forth policies and procedures that will rectify the issue.
Right.
That's politicizing an issue.
Yeah.
So what? That's what we're supposed to do.
So
if
why,
we see a problem in
yeah.
our society, then it becomes a political issue.
So why, when the subject is guns, when it's about guns and when it's about tragedies, when it's about mass killings, why, when it's about guns in particular, we can't have that conversation? We can't talk about how to drive that number down of killings in America
because it's
by
like,
the use of guns.
Because it's like talking about food or unhealthy foods to somebody who is going through some sort of addiction issue with their food. You don't touch that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't touch it. And here in America, we tend to have that same addiction and that fetish for guns
Right.
that we have for horrible food choices. And we don't want to discuss that because it might cause us to think
Change our
about some things
behavior,
and change
yeah.
our behavior
Yeah.
and just go ahead and accept the fact that we have a gun fetish. You know what I'm saying?
So what do you think people are the people that are on the side of there should be no changes? You know, we have the Second Amendment. Guns are our right. We have the right to bear arms. We don't want to do anything. What are they exactly scared of? What do you hear that they're always scared of?
That somebody's gonna come take their guns.
Right.
The government is gonna come take
Specifically
their
the
guns.
government,
the
right?
government, which essentially is, I'm not saying it's on the surface, on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and give them the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, you have a valid fear just because it's your fear.
All right.
But the thing is, we have to like actually play that fear out in actual circumstances.
Okay.
Like when they say government, they're being very vague.
Yes, because there's many arms.
Many arms of the government. So who is like Mitch McConnell going up to your door and, you know, knocking on your door and say, hey, time to get your guns. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Mitch McConnell's on their side, so maybe it's Harry Reid.
Harry Reid. Well, I'm just saying, I'm just naming any politician.
Okay, yeah.
Because what I'm saying is,
yeah.
they would have to be, the reason why I named Republican is because they would have to be a bipartisan agreement.
Oh, okay. I like that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So who is going to be doing this confiscation? Like who?
Yeah.
You say the government, and as soon as you say the government, you already know who people have in mind. Most likely they have who is the most popular boogeyman, and that's liberals and
Yes.
Obama.
Yes. Barack Obama is the end all.
And guess what? It's on the table, so let's just say that's true.
All right.
These mugs are not coming to your house and taking your guns. Like play that out in your head.
How would
in your
that
imagine.
happen?
How would that happen?
Yeah.
So if that would play out in any possible way, it would be the military.
Yeah. I think
Who's doing it?
Yeah. It'd have to be the military.
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to happen?
No.
So you're saying that their fear.
Their fellow citizens would have to do it.
Yeah.
The individuals that fight for their freedom would have to do that, because obviously mugs ain't coming from the state house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Taking guns away. So I'm just saying, when you put that fear on the table, when you play it out in real time, it doesn't even make any sense.
So this fear mongering has been going on strong for 7+ years, pretty much since Barack Obama went to the White House, right?
To the White House.
Now, you
there's always
been that Second Amendment argument, but it was ramped up significantly once Barack Obama got to be the president of the United States. So it's been about 7+ years of this, right?
7+ years.
Yeah, almost 7.5.
He's
now,
about
right?
to be out of here.
Yeah, he almost out, right? So, has anybody's guns been taken? Because they say that the government is going to take your guns, right?
And
it's a slippery slope. You know, they aren't for the Second Amendment. They want to rip to shreds the Second Amendment, right? And he is the guy. He is the dictator.
He is the laziest dictator ever, if that's the case. He is the laziest tyrannical figure ever, if he hasn't done it yet. Yep. He's waited this long.
Because what has happened in 7+ years with gun sales?
they've gone up.
They've gone up.
And ammo has gone up.
Yes. So you're telling me this tyrannical leader, this dictator, has waited so long to now the people he wants to take the guns away from are now more heavily armed than they were previously.
And you know what's interesting about like the whole taking guns away thing? Like a dictator wouldn't just take guns away. A dictator would take any advertisement of guns, any promotion of guns away too. That's what a true dictator would do. But how many gun magazines do we have? Do they still have gun shows?
Yeah.
Gun commercials? Gun ads?
They have a gun show now, like on TV.
TV.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he was a true dictator, he would take all that away.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, it just doesn't make any sense.
No. So okay, so so we know that they're scared. We know that they're scared, or they're acting like they're scared, so that they won't have to agree to compromise on any
At
type
all.
of significant gun reform, right? But the Second Amendment. Now, what does that say? Now, it says that people have the right to bear arms, right? But it's almost like they forget that first part.
There's a few words in
There's
there.
just a few words at the beginning, but they kind of forget that all the time. It says something about a
well-regulated militia.
yeah.
So, and you know, I've heard this argument before. People say, "Well, a militia doesn't mean the same thing, you know, now as it did back then." I was like, "So you're telling me that back then the founding fathers viewed a person as a militia?"
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But let's not even stick to that point. But
Yeah.
what about the regulated part?
Yeah.
Who's going to do the regulating?
Who would do the regulating? Sounds like a government job,
Yeah,
right?
no, that's like their government's job, right?
Yeah.
Like they regulate everything. And speaking of the government having the grounds to regulate certain things, it does state in the Constitution that the government does, or the federal government has grounds to regulate interstate commerce.
Wow.
Too.
Does it?
And guns are a commercial item,
Yeah.
a commercial product.
Yeah.
So somehow,
and it's sold,
and
right?
it's sold. So why should those be off limits? You know what I'm saying?
In pretty much any other industry, right? There are so many levels of
Automotive.
regulation and limitations.
There's not just limits like to drivers or potential drivers of automobiles. There's certain regulations for manufacturers too.
Right.
For everything, television, cell phones, doesn't even matter. Most products that are sold on the market have regulations involved.
We have regulations on automobiles. I have my insurance license, and it was way harder, much more difficult to get an insurance license than it would be to purchase a weapon. Does that make any sense? There's even, when you have an insurance license, when you sell different products or you work in different markets, you have to have insurance as well. Errors and omission insurance, just in case you say something stupid that's not right, and the customer then wants to complain about it and maybe sue. Well, then that insurance will kick in to cover your behind. Do we have anything like that?
And see, what's the first level of any kind of regulation involving guns that people bring up? And that's background checks.
Background checks.
I mean, there's some jobs that pay, minimum wage that run background checks before you can get hired. There's places that won't even rent apartments to certain people after they found out what's on the background check, or renting a house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They go through background checks, both financial and criminal.
Yeah. So why shouldn't there be universal background checks for owning a weapon?
Because we have a gun fetish. Like I said, it needs to go unquestioned like somebody's diet. I'm saying that's a sensitive part. That's a sensitive issue. And we have, like I said, there's nothing wrong with a fetish.
No, there's nothing on the
Because
surface.
on the
there's nothing
surface,
wrong with that.
there's
No.
actually nothing wrong with fetish. So when I'm using the word fetish, I'm not like actually trying to like demonize the term,
Right.
because people have a car fetish.
Yeah.
People collect cars, cards,
baseball cards,
basketball cards, anything, Pokemon cards.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. Like people collect all types of things, but let's like be honest about why someone collects certain things. In this case, it's guns. Like the Second Amendment of itself doesn't create a fetish.
No,
you see what I'm saying? It's not like, oh, Second Amendment, damn it, I gotta go collect guns now. Like, nah, you're not doing that because of the Second Amendment. You're just doing that because you like guns, which I'm okay with.
Yeah, it's fine with that.
Which I'm okay with.
But it should be regulated. To some point, there should be some kind of regulations.
And so what's funny is even with people who are like just staunch gun advocates and they're just go over in a frenzy about their guns. Even they think there's limits, because when you bring up things like, okay, should everybody have a rocket launcher? They're like, no.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Exactly. So even they have limitations in their mind.
Right.
But see, it makes sense to them.
The issue is that there has to be some regulation, and even in the Second Amendment, it actually says regulated. A well-regulated. We can even just throw out the militia. It says regulated. It says regulated in the Constitution. Why are people fighting against the regulation? It makes no sense.
No, it's they cherry picking the parts that they like.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Forget the parts that are actually in there that they don't like.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that usually the people that do that are your more like very fundamentalist Christians / Republicans who do that to another document too. Or you call it document, but it's a book.
Yeah.
The Bible. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
So they cherry pick what they like or what they don't like, and they develop a whole culture and a whole attitude about it.
And they put blinders on.
They put blinders on for the other stuff.
Look, there are a lot of common sense things, and people hear that common sense, they're like, but no, there are actually a lot of common sense things. If you think speed limits are common sense, if you think stop signs and stoplights are common sense, then there are a lot of common sense things that can be done in terms of guns. There should be universal background checks. Nobody should be able to buy a weapon without having to go through a background check. But that's what's happening in a lot of states in America. There's the gun show loophole. Why is this able to happen? Why? Because, see, people could still have the weapons. It wouldn't be taking weapons out of anybody's hands. It would just make the process
streamlined.
Yeah, a little bit more streamlined, you know? Make it so that maybe the people that shouldn't have them can't get them.
But see, like criminals don't follow laws. That means there should be none, right?
Exactly. Since criminals don't follow any laws, then there should be no laws, because then you're just penalizing law-abiding citizens. It makes absolutely no sense. All you're doing is creating chaos. That's exactly what we have right now. All these mass shootings. We have these moments of silence. And then what? What happens after the moment of silence? On to the next piece of business.
That's like we talked earlier, and I said that was like passive grandstanding in place of actual reform.
But the overall point is, we need to do something. Something has to be done. Either we get some gun reform. Either we get some legislation passed, or every single establishment in America is going to need some metal detectors, some armed security guards, because we know this is going to happen again. It's going to happen again. We just don't know when, but it's going to happen again. We don't know how it's going to happen. This was in Orlando. This was the worst attack in history. 49 people gunned down. 49 killed. When are we going to do something about it? When exactly are we going to do something about it? It's an embarrassment that it is easier for me to get an insurance license than a weapon. It's an embarrassment that the wait period is shorter to possess to attain a weapon than it is to adopt a child. Isn't that ridiculous? I don't understand that. That doesn't go around my brain right. I just don't understand that.
I can't help you. I honestly can't help you there, because it essentially is all that is tied to us not wanting to deal with our fetish for guns. I mean, look at the movies. Like, in every movie, a firearm essentially is the hero,
right? And it means
obviously
power,
it means power. What does it represent for us? It does represent a form of power. Now, it's actually, I think it's reversed in the movies. I think the gun is the hero.
Yeah,
we use these actors as the proxy to promote the gun as being the hero, but the guns and the ammo save the day.
Yeah,
and we can't get over that.
It's no coincidence that in countries around the world where they actually do have actual meaningful like gun laws, right? It's no coincidence that they have low gun crime. It's just not an accident.
And yes, exactly. And the thing about more guns equals higher safety is not true. Again, you can have your gun fetish, just don't make up stuff. More guns don't equal more safety. And we've talked about this before. Like, the whole good guy with a gun will stop a bad guy with a gun. And it's like, this is not television.
Yeah.
This is not like an episode of Homeland. This is not how it works.
Where's the data that supports that assertion?
If somebody has a gun somewhere, whether it be in a Target or a Chipotle or a movie theater or wherever, and I want to get involved because I'm the savior. You know what I'm saying? I have the gun. I'm the good guy. I start shooting. What if somebody else gets up and wants to start shooting too? You know what I'm saying? Like, who's going to know who's the bad guy at that point?
And especially if we're talking about in a movie theater, or we're talking about in this nightclub where many people have guns and they want to take action and do something, right? This is a chaotic situation where people are falling, people are running, bumping into each other, and now you have a whole bunch of people with guns aimed at who?
Who's the bad guy now?
Exactly.
How do you know who's the bad guy?
They could just, I see a gun, I start shooting at you, but are you the bad guy?
No, since that's the case,
it's already a chaotic
more guns
situation.
Equals more safety. Let's just start allowing guns in stadiums and concerts, at festivals, everywhere. The fair,
because the more guns
there are, the safer we are.